2017 has proven to be nothing short of a fantastic year for PlayStation 4 and PS4 Pro players. And now that the year is coming to a close and the final few first-party games have been released, I think it's time we look back and sort through some of the greatest games that have been released exclusively for the PlayStation 4 since January of this year. So, without further ado, let's begin. Number 10. Gravity Rush 2 by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Gravity Rush was a series originally created and developed by SIE Japan Studio back in 2011 exclusively for PlayStation Vita. However, the series has since moved to the PlayStation 4. If you've played the original, then you know that the ending was a major cliffhanger, the very definition of one. And for years, fans of Cat and Dusty have anxiously been waiting for a proper sequel. As bitter as many were that it never came to PS Vita, the game looks gorgeous and still plays well on the big screen. Fortunately, even if you haven't played the first game and you're completely unfamiliar with this series, both games are available on PS4 with support for PS4 Pro. But with Gravity Rush 2, familiar worlds and characters make a beautiful return to a very powerful home console. Number 9. Nier Automata by Square Enix. Developed by Platinum Games and published by Square Enix, Nier Automata is an action role-playing game developed as a console exclusive for the PlayStation 4 with negligible support for PS4 Pro. This game is a direct sequel to the game Nier, which is a spin-off of the Drakengard series. The premise of this game takes place in a post-apocalyptic world that revolves around a player controlling combat androids from the Yora across an open-world environment. Players can navigate each of these worlds on foot, via animal, or through the use of a flying mech. The protagonist you play off is known as Yora No. 2, Model B, or 2B for short, which is a female android whose programmed traits are being calm and composed. Being that this is an RPG, I don't want to give you too much insight into the story, as like many RPGs, it's a progression. So if any of this gameplay looks enticing to you, I suggest you look into this one, as you can't get it on any other home console. Number 8. Nioh by Koei Tecmo. Set in the year 1600 amongst the Civil War within a fictionalized Japan, Nioh is an action role-playing game developed by Team Ninja and published by Koei Tecmo in Japan and Sony Interactive Entertainment in the rest of the world. The premise of this game follows a main character, William, an Irishman who arrived in Japan in pursuit of an enemy. While there, he crosses paths with several other characters, forming an alliance to take on William's enemy and the yokai that are infesting Japan. The core gameplay is a hack-and-slash combat with the ability to block enemy attacks. William will be fighting both human enemies and the yokai, which are supernatural beings that are devastating the Japan amongst the Civil War. Number 7. WipEout The Omega Collection by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Developed by Sony XDev Europe, Clever Beans, and EPOS Game Studios, this marks the 10th standalone title within the WipEout series, and is the first title not to be developed by the original developers at the now defunct Studio Liverpool. But fret not, as this is a well-handled remaster of the ill-fated studio's games WipEout HD, the HD Fury expansion, and WipEout 2048, all remastered and rebuilt from the ground up for PS4 and PS4 Pro. Previously, WipEout HD could have been found on the PS3, and WipEout 2048 was on PlayStation Vita exclusively. But now, the definitive versions can be found running at 1080p 60 on the standard PS4 and 4K 60 on the PS4 Pro systems, respectively. WipEout is known for its fast-paced racing and in general just being a challenge to beat, so sit back, get behind the wheel, and get ready to test your skills against one of the most well-known, difficult racing franchises only on PlayStation. Number 6. Yakuza Zero by Sega. Developed and published by Sega, this game is a prequel to the Yakuza series of games, which takes place in December of 1988. Yakuza Zero is a third-person action-adventure game set in Kamurocho. Like other games in the series, you play as main protagonist Kazuma Hiru and recurring character Goro Majima, alternating between the two as you progress through the story. As you fight your way through the game, you can use the liberally awarded game currency to unlock abilities as you progress, and perhaps the largest innovation of this game is the fighting differences between the two main characters that can be interchanged midway through battle. Without going into too much detail about the story, the short premise is there is a power struggle that has emerged amongst the dark organizations in Japan, and Kiro and Majima must set out on an adventure to uncover the truth of the causes behind it, as well as protect their own innocence and safety. Number 5. Gran Turismo Sport by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Gran Turismo is a series that is as old as PlayStation, and Gran Turismo Sport has been one of, if not the most sought-after games that fans of the racing genre have been looking forward to. This game, like many that have come before it, has been developed by Polyphony Digital and will be published by Sony Interactive Entertainment globally. Not only does this game look gorgeous with native 4K support on PS4 Pro, but with 60 frames a second gameplay and HDR right out of the box. This game simply looks gorgeous, and if you own a PS4 Pro, you will be playing one of the most beautiful racing sims to date. Also, did I mention that this game comes with PlayStation VR support? Yes sir, you don't have to pay anything extra to get PSVR functionality. So if you've been looking for a killer app for both your PS4 and your PSVR, I think this is the one for you. Number 4. Uncharted Lost Legacy by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Perhaps the most unique game in the Uncharted series history, this is the first game to ever not feature Nathan Drake as the main character. Instead, series veteran Chloe Fraser makes returns and enlists in the services of mercenary boss Nadine Ross to help her find some legendary treasure. Like many Uncharted games that came before it, an opposing force stands in the way, and Chloe must race to be the first person to acquire it. While Nathan Drake isn't present, another character plays a role in this game, and it's clear that Naughty Dog didn't sacrifice an ounce of quality. Despite their star character not being in the game, if you've played Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, then you must play Uncharted Lost Legacy. You will not be disappointed. Number 3. Persona 5 by Atlus. What can be said about this game that hasn't been said already? It's nothing short of stellar, selling over 1 million units globally, making it the best-selling game in the Persona series, and it is easily Atlus's best Persona game to date, with some calling it one of, if not the greatest, role-playing games of all time. The premise of this game follows a player named Protagonist, although his name in the manga is Akira Kurusu. Unfortunately, being that this is an RPG and one that relies heavily on its story, there isn't much I can say about its premise without spoiling too much of it. What I can say is, if you're a PlayStation gamer, then you may very well be familiar or at least heard of the Persona series, since it's been around since the original PlayStation. And until the release of Persona 5 on the PS4, Persona 4 The Golden on PS Vita was widely regarded as one of the best RPGs within the Persona franchise, and sold quite a few PS Vitas on its own right. Basically, if you liked Persona 4, then Persona 5 is Persona 4 on crack, so get ready for another fine adventure created by the brilliant minds over at Atlus. Number 2. Crash Bandicoot The Sane Trilogy by Activision. A franchise that is also as old as PlayStation finally made a triumphant comeback after almost 10 years of absence. Faithfully developed by Vicarious Visions, Crash Bandicoot The Sane Trilogy is both gorgeous and fun to play. For those of us who have played the original trilogy by Naughty Dog on the PS1, many of us will feel right at home playing this on our modern HD TVs or in 4K on our PS4 Pro systems. This trilogy contains Crash Bandicoot, Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, and Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, all on one disc, rebuilt from the ground up on PS4 and PS4 Pro hardware, and while they are slightly different than the originals, Vicarious Visions went through great lengths to ensure that these felt, played, and looked like the originals. Even for players out there that didn't grow up on the PS1, the Insane Trilogy is still a blast to play through today, whether you're familiar with this franchise or not. And if you're not, it'll give you a great idea of what many players went through back in 1996 with the launch of Crash Bandicoot. With all that being said, let's just hope we get to see many more new exciting adventures with Crash Bandicoot in the future. Number 1. Horizon Zero Dawn by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Taking the top spot on this list is probably one of, if not the most universally praised games amongst players and critics released on PS4 and PS4 Pro in 2017. Developed by Guerrilla Games and published by SIE, Horizon Zero Dawn is an action role-playing game that follows a girl named Aloy, a huntress and archer living in a world overrun by robotic creatures set approximately 1,000 years in the future after an apocalyptic event. In this world, the robotic creatures once lived peacefully with humans. However, a phenomenon only known in the game as the derangement caused the machines to become far more aggressive to humans, and larger, deadlier machines have begun to appear as a result. Join Aloy on her quest to find out her origins and discover all of the secrets of her world, and to be frank, this game is a blast to play. It's nice to see that Western developers are beginning to dabble in the RPG genre once again. This game even has DLC that has a November 2017 release planned, called Horizon Zero Dawn: The Frozen Winds. So if you're a fan of this game, get your wallets ready for the DLCs released that has taken place in November of this year. And for those of us who haven't played the game yet, get your wallets ready, because this is probably one of the most universally praised exclusives to be released on the PS4 and the highlight of 2017 for many PS4 and PS4 Pro players.